Welcome to Spooky Houses of Jump Scares. How may I help you? Sorry for the no lights. Utility costs money and I don't have money. But I'm not here to talk about that. I'm here to talk about Valorant, and you might have seen this video, you might not, but it was a video I saw titled Never Lose a Gunfight in Never Lose Another Gunfight in Valorant, Here's How. I wanted to, and I watched it, and it's pretty good. It's really well made. The guys who make it are pretty cool. But I looked into it, I watched the full video, and there was a lot of, we talked about these key concepts. They talked about awareness, mechanics, and confidence, but not how to improve on each of these areas. So I wanted to take the time in this video to help players out and kind of help them implement these concepts into their game by showing them how to really improve this step by step. So follow along, join me, watch out for the jump scares. You might have noticed that it got a little bit darker. Don't worry about that, it happens from time to time. I'm used to reading like horror skits and stuff like that, so I'm used to like dark environments. Don't mind it, just let it ride. But the first example we got was through map awareness. I wish I drew it earlier, I can do it now. Yeah, the first thing we got to talk about is awareness. In the video, they mentioned awareness being like map aware of the positioning of the enemies. So after the Cypher takes a good bullet to the chest/head, he knows the positioning of both the Viper and the Jet looking at his minimap. But to know this concept is one thing, but to teach it is another. So map awareness is what it's mostly known as, or what it's actually known as. It does help correlate with gunfights. It goes really well with a concept called anticipation, but that's just something, that's another topic for another day. But to really train your map awareness, it's really trained by actively thinking when you should and shouldn't be looking at the minimap. For example, I'll put up a list of, let me point the other direction, this way. Where the fuck is my camera? This way. I'm gonna put to a list of times when you should be looking at the minimap and times when you shouldn't. And the only way really to practice in a competitive setup is really just Q comp. Don't think about anything else, but every single moment of the game, actively think, should I be looking at my minimap or should I be looking at my crosshair? And when you do this over the course of a couple games, you're probably gonna lose a couple, give or take some number. It doesn't matter, it's arbitrary, but eventually it'll be unconscious and you'll find yourself unconsciously looking at the minimap at the correct times and looking at your crosshair at correct times. And once you do that, your awareness throughout the game will typically be a lot better. That's how you would typically practice. It's one of those things where you just need reps. The more you do it, the more you actively prep your brain to do it, the better you're gonna get at it. So moving on to the next topic, we have mechanics. By the way, if you notice it got darker, don't worry about that. The sky is, the sun is, I believe, dying. So we'll work on that when we get there. But in the mechanics example that they provided, the coach made a notation to bring up the point of micro versus macro positioning. And it's another concept that would actually need time and practice to get really good at, and I don't think that's really feasible for everyone. So I'll boot up Valorant real quick. Just kidding, I had it booted up this entire time. Look at me. So for lower rated players, to train your mechanics, you'd want to do these sets of drills. And I consider low elo players silver and below. This is the over aim drill, very fundamental. Over aim, move. If you're off it correct with your aim, make it smooth. And then go back. I'm not gonna sit here and do the whole thing for you. Do that to completion. Easy bots just to get the flow of the drill to you, and then you'd speed up to medium bots to incorporate speed into your training. Because your movement is bad and lower rated, you want to get burst strafing down. Note that I do have the shooting graph up. I will show how to put that out. But the idea is that you want these to be as yellow as possible. Put it to a metronome so that you have a rhythm to base yourself off of, so that you're not just blindly doing the sound. As you may notice, I don't have headphones in, so I'm just kind of winging it. But yeah, ideally you work your way up to 110 BPM. If you can push past that, perfect. If you have to start lower than that, that's fine too. Everyone starts somewhere. But that's what you would do for lower rated players. That would be what you'd practice. Don't mind this, I'm turning into a Darth Lord right now. But that's what you would focus on instead of doing copious amounts of what I will recommend to the higher players is deathmatch. And for higher level players, when you do the deathmatch and you need to practice your mechanics, I would break it down into bite-sized chunks that you can feasibly do. Alright, so you know that the full set for taking gunfights is you want to be kind of mobile. And then once you're ready to shoot, you'd stop and take your shot. So, let's say, and we'll break this down into full steps. Let's say I'm really bad at just moving in my fights. So then instead of shooting, I'll just move. Try to dodge the bullets as much as possible. Work on being evasive in my fights to the point of like, and making sure I have good strafing movement. You want your strafes to be wide to make it hard for them to like standardly hit. Afterwards, you would try incorporating not only like moving as well with your cross, like while you're moving, you're also aiming your crosshair. If you struggle with that, then that would be your next step. For example, let's say I struggle with it. I'd move until they stop. I'm on their head, I shoot. I'm on their head, I stop and shoot. And eventually, you kind of get the gist. You'll keep layering up, stepping up, and you'll eventually get Omega, like, really good at your mechanics. You're not playing to win, you're playing to practice. And being able to actively, and this is the big part. After you've done all those death matches, you want to then go and, with that same mindset of focusing on the steps, bring that to your ranked game. Don't think about utility. Don't think about any of your lineups. Don't think about calming extensively. You can do these, but just keep them very basic. The more you focus on just your movement, just your like raw mechanic, raw aim, raw movement, crosshair placement, the more you focus on it, the faster you're going to improve, the faster you're going to improve, the faster you're going to climb. It's better to do it that way than try to do multiple different steps at the same time. So we move on to our third and final step, the confidence. I don't know if there's a line there. Ignore it. Confidence. Yeah. Confidence. Yeah, you build that. I actually disagreed with how they portrayed confidence in the video. Confidence isn't something you can flick like a light switch. It isn't something that quick. You can't just turn it off and turn it back on. Confidence is built through discipline and through consistent practice. How you build confidence in the sense of your gunfights is you just gotta take more gunfights. You might feel awkward, you might feel uncomfortable taking gunfights. You're gonna have to push yourself past that. The only way to gain confidence and to improve is keep fighting. I'm serious. There'll be times where you don't want to peek out and fight, and you just got it. And you're gonna lose some fights. You're gonna win some. You're more likely gonna lose a lot at the beginning, but you can't let yourself get down. You have to trust the process. Most pros, if they die 5 times in a row, maybe even the same guy in different scenarios, they're not gonna stop. They're gonna keep fighting, and they're gonna fight until they win. You gotta just trust the process, trust yourself, keep fighting. In recap, for map awareness, I'm gonna put the list back up. Follow the list of do's and don'ts of when and when not to look at the minimap. It'll help a lot, and just to solely focus on it. By the way, as a disclaimer, I wish I put this out ahead of time. Please, please, please focus on one specific aspect at a time. If you try to focus on too much, you're gonna find yourself overwhelmed, and it'll be really hard for you to improve because you'll improve a lot slower because your focus is tattered on different things. Next, with the mechanics practice, lower elo players focus on the over-aim drill and your metronome drill. It'll help you take fights in the long run. Higher elo players, getting your death matches in, focus on your building blocks. If you're weak in one area, focus on it. For example, if your movement in between fights is bad, just focus entirely on that. If you can't aim and move at the same time, practice that in your deathmatch with very heavy consciousness. I want you to actively think about it. Like in your head, as you're moving, you're like, okay, moving, aiming, and then you shoot. And then for confidence, just keep practicing, put in the repetition, get out of your comfort zone, and try to take the fights, and keep taking them until you get consistent. And then once you build that consistency, over a period of time, you will be confident. I don't think you actively need to train your confidence. It's something that will come with consistent practice. But if you do need to focus on your confidence, because I know some people out there that really need to focus on confidence, that's how you do it. Over a long period of time, consistent practice, get out of your comfort zone, take the fights, and you'll be on your way. But that is how you win 50% of your fights. I'm not going to say 100%. I'm not going to do that. It's impossible. But that's how you win 50% of your times in even gunfights. And I hope this helped some people get better, some people to understand how to implement those concepts into their own playstyle, or not even playstyle, but into their own routine, so that they can improve and be the best Valorant players you can. But that does it for today. Thank you guys so much for watching. If indeed you still are, good luck on the climb, and I'll see you next time. Bye-bye.